Okay.
Well, we could.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So again, quickly recapping, today is whatever day it is, January the 8th. You guys should be all making money. I tried to put a number of things in the thread, D Pro Lows, ELF micro strategy or a strategy. It's called Oklo. I told you guys about QBTS, put some names in there, and I'm going to start because I know it's helpful for Tony for sure, and maybe even Doug with his schedule, maybe a couple of other you guys to do the weekend review, kind of get that going again. Not sort of overly part of what you signed up for, if you will, for the folks that, that pay me money. It's just something I'm trying to create some value for you for over the weekend, because I know some of you guys' schedules are all over the place. And if I can give you something to review over the weekend, it certainly will be helpful. And then if I can give you something during the course of the week, if I'm, shouting to the rooftops, you might want to look at buying QBTS right now. Uh, then hopefully that will help you. So let's take a look here as to why I do what I do to help you guys make money. So MicroStrategy, and I'll try to be quick with this because I know Tony's got to go to work without being too quick. MicroStrategy, it's the Bitcoin sort of stock that I think his name is Michael Saylor is the CEO, and his strategy, if you will, has been to continually buy Bitcoin. And Bitcoin has been coming down, so too has MicroStrategy. But when we look at it, it's probably a more of a longer term play. There's an opportunity for the stock to bounce at times. So big picture kind of tells you that MicroStrategy is right on that support range. If we drop this down just a touch more, it's probably right in here. So they're right at support. MicroStrategy. Strategy is the name of the company. And you can see technically it's starting to make the turn on stochastics. Remember, stochastics tries to help you catch the turn before the stock moves. Histogram is a trend following indicator. So if the stock's going down, so too is histogram, unless there is a divergence. Right now, the stock is not diverging on the big picture, but histogram's stochastics is trying to tell you, hey, this thing's about ready to turn. You're flirting with a turn. So we put in a double bottom on strategy. And if we lean into the weekly, and now we look at the same metrics, if you will. What do we see, Doug, here on histogram? What's that telling me?
It's going, it's going up.
Yeah.
Yes.
To
So
buy, to
that,
buy.
yes. So that's a divergent. The stock right here, this one, green, so higher than the previous close for the week. We're looking at a weekly chart. Green higher than the previous close. But look, then the next 4 weeks, the stock is going down. What is histogram going? It's going up.
Going up.
So it's telling you, hey, I don't care what the stock is doing, they're buying it at this price point. So there's a bullish divergence. It's diverging from what you're seeing on the screen, which is bullish. It's positive. So you also, what we're getting this week, we've got a volume spike. We're only we haven't had a shortened week. We still got 2 more days in the week. So we're getting this volume spike off the bottom. We're getting a bullish divergence. You see that we're oversold. RSI is below 30 and stochastics is turning. If you have some money, buy MicroStrategy right now. So it's making the turn. Where would I buy it? Tony, we're right here. This right in here, these 2 weeks,
Uh-huh.
this close is 177. This close the next week is 179 almost. So resistance is about right generally in here. So we're not out of the woods yet, but the bottom, buying that bottom would have been nice, around that 150 mark because we put in the same bottom over here around 155. So we knew the bottom pretty much was in on the weekly, but we could see the bottom was pretty much in looking at the monthly. The bigger time frame was saying, hey, this thing should find support. Let's go back to the monthly, big time frame. This thing should find support somewhere right around. This was the close of 152 right here, somewhere right around that 152-ish mark, somewhere in this general area. And guess where we're stopping? Right around in this area. The previous month, the low was 151.42. Of course, I'm looking right here. And this month, the low so far is 149, almost 150. So we're stopping. The big picture is telling you, hey, we should find support in this range because what was resistance in here for 7 months now becomes support. So we stopped here on it. We went a little bit lower and we're holding the line here, putting in a pretty much a double bottom. And then as we look at the next lower time frame, weekly is giving you all kinds of buy signals. So when we look at weekly, it's saying, oh my gosh, you guys, it's time to buy. We've got this bullish divergence going on. We've got that it's oversold and it's making the turn on stochastics. And we're getting a volume spike. We're pretty much going 4 for 4, screaming that you should buy it. So the initial buy was about 152-ish with a tight stop, right?
Hmm.
2%. Then, looking at the other time frames, it would have told you, yep, this is probably a good spot, even though monthly was still waffling, but weekly is telling you this thing is changing. And then we've got to be 5% above the keys, baby, to the car. Hold on one second. Sorry, guys. Yeah. 5% above Doug and you guys watching later, this general resistance area. So now if I'm looking at it, I'm saying, okay, what's the resistance on the weekly? Let's make this bigger. Weekly resistance, guys, you try to find the happy ground in the middle. What I key in on is show me where the green days were, green closes. So I've got 177 and about 179. We'll split the difference, call it 178. This close was 176 and some change, and then we started to go down for 3 weeks in a row. I can lean in on the daily to get a closer view, a better view of maybe where breakout is. And so we had this downtrend here, like so. And then let me clear these out because we got too many lines going. Got this downtrend here on the daily because now I'm trying to lean into where I would actually where is resistance? I see generally right in here, there seems to be, a support area. Now we're only kind of looking at the daily where we bottom, skirting the line, gently going through it, but not probably 5% below it, hanging on by a thread like a cat on in a tree. So this is the bottom, about 157, 156 on the daily. So where is this breakout point? We have this consolidation right in here for a number of days. And if I drew a line roughly under it, we're probably somewhere 181-ish, but then lower in here for the last so many days we might be roughly right in this general range of where we're at now. So if I make this bigger, I've got this closed, all of this where it hit its head, this one like 5 days in a row down, consolidation, up, hit your head, can't get through it, bigger green candle, bullish engulfing. This day is engulfing the previous almost 3 days as far as the length of the candle or the horizontal length of the candle. So, it's tough to say right now. I could default to bar chart to see where they show resistance if their computer's leaning in to see where they're at. I know that after hours right now we're up again. And so I know we're flirting with the breakout. So now I could look at Bitcoin and think about what's going on with Bitcoin and is there any news or anything over there? I come over here and I look at micro, no, I keep calling it micro strategy to see if there's any news here. Today is the 8th. I might want to look into what the news was yesterday because, they're always showing up in the news. There's a lot of, threads in here. Stock rising, how it's defying a Bitcoin sell-off. Why is that? Don't know, haven't read about it. So the fundamental part we need to lean into. So that'll be up to you guys to kind of look at. A lot of what the news is usually baked in the price. Sometimes I might not even fully look at the news because it's usually in the price. It's usually in the charts. So now I'm looking at, well, where am I buying this? Breakout range is somewhere around 167. If I go 105% over 167, that's like $8. So it's about 175. That marries up a bit with the weekly, which was in here. And this, remember this, I'm looking at weekly. This is 177. This is 179. I said we'd split the difference at 178. So now roughly somewhere around 177, 178-ish. And now I leaned into the daily, which tells me it's more like 175 for like 5% breakout. We know that technically everything is starting to look good. I would be a buyer here, and then I would be a buyer again once we start to push 178. And then you say to yourself, well, where are we going? Once we buy it now and then maybe buy it again, it looks like resistance on the weekly is right in here. This was consolidation, right? Where we had a channel. We broke out of it right here. This is resistance. We broke out of it. We double topped a bit in here where it found resistance again. And then we worked our way back down, which would now be what, Tony? Support.
Forward, yeah.
Yeah, support. So now what was resistance now becomes support. And guess where we started stopping? Stopping. We're holding up, stopping. We didn't close below it. Hit it when you see a big, long, bearish engulfing, right? This is a bearish engulfing, right? It engulfs the previous week. You have to know, like, which you will over time, like, we're going down. It's going to break support. And it sure did. Because the Bears were clearly in control right here. Something's up. Bears are in control. Down, down, down goes Frazier. Finds support. Now that we've put in support for now, we've put in a bottom for looks like, I don't know, 8 weeks almost, 2 months. We're starting to make the turn. So when we make the turn, we've got to break through some key resistance levels. But the top side, where would I look to sell it? Somewhere up in here, because that's where we're going to run into resistance again. So we make the turn. We're now at a price point of 167. We got clear skies ahead that will take us pushing $300, providing the market's good and yada, 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 all the rest of it. You stand to earn a lot of money on your money buying it right now because the downside risk is very small from here. You'd have to take something not so great for this thing to turn and go down and retest 152, 150. The upside is far more likely that it's going to break to the upside than it is to the downside. So when I tell you guys, hey, if I say something like there's heavy pressure still on the monthly, but the weekly looks like it's going to bounce, you have to play the bounce. It's like you don't have to play the bounce, but you got to recognize there's still selling pressure. Monthly hasn't quite turned yet, but weekly is starting to turn. So we might get a bounce. And with that bounce, you need to still understand that there's still possibly selling pressure with the bigger picture. So you take the money on the bounce. It's like, in Asheville, it's probably a bad example. There's rain and there was flooding, and you knew the rain was coming and you weren't quite sure the flooding was coming. But once you knew the flooding was coming, it's coming. And then it stopped raining for a day or two. That was the time you needed to run to the grocery store, put some more sandbags out or whatever, or i.e., take the money, take the bounce and get back out because the flood's still coming, right? It's still coming. So let's replay that. Let's look. The flood was here. It's been coming. You knew that, hey, here's my Harris Teeter run, grocery store run, somewhere in here where we'll find support where the rain is going to stop. It looks like we might make the turn, but histogram, trend following indicator. So, only put so much stock in that. We're not oversold or anything on relative strength. We're early in the month, but we started to have a volume spike last month. Remember, volume precedes price. If someone's shouting from the rooftops, here comes the volume. Think about when you guys look at this, big red candle, and all of a sudden we stop and there's no more big red candle, and you see the volume, it should be telling you the selling is probably over and people are coming to get it. And you can see that the red line is getting closer to the purple line. Stochastics is trying to help you make the turn. And I know you guys are smart people. You just have to see the movie enough to run through the drill in your mind so you can recognize what you're looking at. So, MicroStrategy, it's a buy. I told you it's a buy before, it's a buy now even more. And it'll be a buy again if it starts to push 180, and there won't be a whole lot to stop it until probably somewhere between 260 and 300 once it gets going. So you should make money on MicroStrategy. Let me stop here. Doug, questions? Was that too fast? Does that make sense? Before you answer, the book, the old one, Trading for a Living, if you haven't bought the new one, the new Trading for a Living, it talks about time frames. It's important to identify what is going on with how does he put it in here? The is it the tide that comes in? It's the wave, it's the tide, I guess is the big picture that comes in, the wave and the ripple. And there's a strategy around the tide, the wave, and the ripple. If the tide, the flood, if you will, is doing this, but you're getting this wave that's going against the bigger picture. And then the ripple is the specific point where you would buy it. And I'll have to go through this stuff with you. But if you don't own the book, I would encourage you to get the book. Spend the $40. It'll help you think through some things. Doug, questions about MicroStrategy? Does what I'm telling you making sense?
100%.
Good. Tony.
Yes, I got a lot of information from you tonight. Just good for me because I wasn't understanding the people getting where everybody's getting out, and that's why it's at the bottom, and then getting back into it. So
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, so then you got to lean into the fundamental side and figure out, what does strategy do? Do they even make any money? Is all their money tied to Bitcoin in that purchase?
Yeah.
What do they do? But your job is, even if they don't do that much, like Oklo, your job is to make money. Is this thing going to turn? I need to find the turn and make the money. And because they don't really do that much, and I know where I should be getting out, that's where I'll get out. So your job is to make the money. So let's take a look at Chile, Oklo. Oklo doesn't do anything, but they have a relationship with the federal government, some sort of working relationship. They don't produce anything yet. They're not making any money, but let me walk you through again. Big picture, what do we see? We have this uptrend on the monthly. The stock went from a breakout right here, you guys, on the monthly, right in here where we broke out, right? Because this was let me make this bigger. This was the downtrend in here, right? So this is $21 and some change. Doug, where would I buy it? Breakout. What's the rule? Doug, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I was on mute. 5%.
Yes,
5%.
sir, 5%. Do the quick math. Obviously, 10% is $2, 5% is $1. The buy's $22 and some change, right? So you bought the breakout. What about volume? What's the rule? What's the rule with the breakout as it relates to volume?
I'm not sure.
No worries. Breakout must volume must accompany the breakout because volume tells you folks have conviction. Because if the stock starts to break out at 22, but there's no volume, folks are really not bought in yet. And then all of a sudden it pulls back and it's a head fake. And you're like, I got sucked in. It looked like it was going to break out. I'm like, did it have any volume? No. Well, there you go. Right. But we have volume to confirm the breakout, and it closed 105% above the time frame that we were looking at, which is about 22 and some change. This particular month, it closed well above it at $52.72 was the close. But when it hit 22 and you felt real confident based on volume and you're looking at lower time frames, you're like, I need to buy this thing. This thing is going to go. And it certainly did. And so uptrend, we're looking at a monthly. It's been in an uptrend. We broke away from it. We ran up. So when the stock runs to 193 from 22, people have made a lot of money on their money over the last 6 months. 22 to 194. I don't know what that number is, but it's a big one. And then when you see this right here, what does this candle tell you? What does it look like, Tony? Highs here. First of all, the open is this corner, right? The
Uh-huh.
low, the high, and the close is to the right. Looking at this totality of the month of whatever month this is, October, what does that tell you looking at that month, that candle? What is it telling you?
I guess that it's coming down. It's going to drop. The
Yes.
volume's
Yeah,
losing
it was coming
volume.
down because the high for the month was almost 194. The stock closed at 132. The
Yeah.
open for the month was 112, 113 roughly. I'm sorry, the open right here in this corner. 113, excuse me if I was pointing to the wrong place. Open, high, low, close. Bottom left open, top right close. So the reverse is true for red candles. Top left is the open, high, low, bottom right is the close. So yes, Tony, looking at that candle, use common sense, you're like, they
Yeah.
sold that off. Thing was
Yeah.
at 194. It ended up closing at 132. People took the money. Whatever was going on this month, this thing got sold off. The bulls could no longer hold this breakout. People made a crap ton of money over 7 months if they just bought the breakout. What do I always tell you guys? Guys, just lean into the breakouts. Forget
Yeah.
learning a million other things. Breakouts are the easiest thing to me to buy. And so you bought the breakout at 22. I would have taken the money when it was at 52, just knowing how I am. But then I would have maybe come back to think about there's a bit of a dog fight here the next month. And then, oh, the train is leaving the station because resistance was right around here. It was at 57. This month was at where it closed at 56. We're somewhere in here, but then the train was leaving the station and this was starting to get expanded. And you're like, oh, maybe I start to buy back in. Maybe we're going to go on another run. And it did. And then it got sold off here because people made a lot of money. Then you've got a bearish engulfing. This candle for this month engulfs all of not the distance of it, but the main trading area where we open versus where we close. This square is getting engulfed by this square. So you knew we were going to get weaker. We came down, we tested the uptrend line right here. We're testing this support range. And we're kind of right on it. Volume is shrinking. And usually when volume is shrinking, they can really take over a stock, the market makers. And then, we close at the bottom of the range the following month. But where would we find support? And we already talked about that support was somewhere around I'm sorry, this is a different stock. With this particular stock, support is probably somewhere in this general range. So it wouldn't shock me if this thing came down even further. Using this general area and this area and just kind of coming across. But we'll have to kind of lean into it, see if we can get a better read on where support was and is. But so looking at this, the monthly doesn't really scream that I should be buying this yet. And obviously, a lot of this green gain happened in the last week. So let's look at the weekly and see if we can spot it better. So if we get rid of our lines, weekly look. Well, winner, winner, chicken dinner. Let's get rid of these alerts. We can see better where support is. And it's right in this general area right here, going across. Where we hit our head down, hit our head, skirted through it. Now we're hugging it, becomes Now support where it was resistance. I don't know if this is a 5% close. Train starting to leave the station right here. It's time to buy it for sure. It's starting to go. Last call for alcohol, comes back and tries to retouch it. Then the buy point again is right here with this candle. Here comes volume, confirming the breakout of this little mini area in here. And you also knew that to buy it was right in here with this downtrend that was here. So it's time to buy here, and it was time to buy here. And then the train left the station here, and then we ran hard for 5 weeks. We backed off of it this week, bearish engulfing. You're like, oh, it's time to get out. You clowns, if you don't take the money, if you're greedy and you're not smart, and you don't see what's about ready to happen, then here we go down. And you only see this if you're taking your time and you're looking. You're like, this stock on the weekly is in an uptrend. It's breaking the uptrend here. It is weaker the week before. We are getting this bearish engulfing here. If I bought the daggone thing right here at 55, and we're at 190 something. If you don't take the money then, I don't know what's wrong with you. But then we come back down and we're breaking through support and we're at 143 and you just happen to be greedy and we were at 55 and you bought it and you're still more than double your money, you might want to take the money because this thing is telling you it's going down and it was even oversold here technically, overbought that is. You can see right in here, look, when stochastics is above the top blue line and it starts to go below the purple line, that is bearish. And then it just opened higher the next week, but stochastics is going down. It's telling you we're going down. And relative strength, what do you see here? It's red. It's overbought. That's why when you guys look at this stuff, I would encourage you probably to have these three indicators, four indicators up, just like you see it: volume, stochastics, relative strength, and histogram. You can have a number of combinations that will give you information to help you figure out what you should do. And you want to find indicators that you understand and that you're comfortable with. Some people like to use moving averages, EMA. Some people like to use VWAP. Some people like to use Bollinger Bands. Some people like to use a lot of different things. Find what works, but you probably need to have a mix of trend following indicators with trend leading indicators and understand the difference like we've already gone over so you can see if there's a chink in the armor, if something is telling you something is changing. So right here, you can see stochastics, and let me tell you the rule here, and you'll need to remember this. When stochastics is below the bottom line and it turns up, it is more reliable as an indicator. And it is the same way with histogram. When histogram is below this line here, but it turns up as far as the bars, it's more reliable. It's not my rules. Trust me, I've read a million books. It's more reliable. So when we look at Oklo, we've bottomed here with this downtrend. We had this double bottom here. We made the turn here, and folks make some good money about a month and a week ago. Once we made the turn here with this double bottom, you see we double bottomed right here and here. We made the turn. It was time to buy and get that little bounce, and folks made money there. Then we had this ugly red candle, and back down we go again. Right? So are we going to hold this bottom in here? No, we didn't. So let me make this bigger. Make that bigger. We didn't hold these two bottoms. We tried to hold on there. We started to go through. You're like, we're going through it. So now this acts a bit as, small time resistance, not a big sample size. Because remember, every candle we're looking at just represents a week. So use logic. You're like, well, we've only been through this support range really for about a week. And did we really close 5% below it to really confirm that maybe it's a new trend starting? If we use 78 as our marker, 5%, what do we got? Was that roughly 74 and some change? Do we close at 74 and some change below this line here? Roughly, it's roughly in that range. No, we closed at 70, almost 77, and here we closed at 78. So we never really confirmed the breakdown. When we talk about breakouts, we're talking about breaking down. So we really haven't broken down yet. And then here, this week, last week, what do we have here? The reds crossed the purple. So it's telling you, hey, Doug, Tony, this thing's should start to make the turn. And so it did. It foreshadowed that it was going to make the turn. So then we get this gap this week. We closed last week at 77.80. We opened this week at 81.65. It gapped up almost $4 to start the week. You're like, this thing is gapping. Stochastics has told you last week it's making the turn. I'm going to go ahead and buy the 81 gap. Will gaps get filled? Something gaps, it opens at 78 last week, it opens at 81. So you have this gap. Sometimes gaps get filled where it comes down and retouches the 78. In this case, it opened at 81. The low was 80.4, so it never filled the gap. And then we hit a high of 100. So literally, if you recognize what was about ready to happen, you made 20% plus on your money this week. Right. So it's an easy sort of these bigger names. Once you kind of learn some things, they're easy to deal with. That's why I tell you guys, stick to the bigger names right now while you're learning. Forget the smaller names because you're not good. It's going to present a problem for you. You're going to get bit in the butt. If I tell you something that's a smaller name like that Coach, COCH, I sold that thing the same day. I said, hey, it looks like we might be breaking out. I know some of us bought it. I bought it at whatever it was, pushing $1. I'm like, this thing's not, it's a head fake. It's time to get out of it. So, but I know some of you guys still hold it and stuff. Always, there goes my light. Hold on. Always, have stop losses in. Tell you guys that all the time. I'm not going to have a stop loss. I'm just going to sell it. But you should have a stop loss in unless you wish to be married to the stock. So easy money again with Oklo. And I was telling you guys in the thread, Oklo, you guys might look at buying Oklo. I said it was a steal at 75. Those are almost my exact words. Yeah, it's a steal at 75. And at the time, it spun on down to 71. I said, hey, if we hit 60 something, it's going to be a screaming buy, I said. So we made the turn, right? So you guys see this downtrend, flatten out, downtrend, right? Makes the turn. Guys, don't make this harder than what it is. And I know I beat you up, and I know you got to see the movie a number of times, and you pay me to beat you up. So don't make it harder than what it is. Breakout, bottom, technical indicator. So Oklo, easy play, easy money. Hopefully some of you guys made some money somewhere by buying it. Anybody buy Oklo, by the way? Doug, did you buy Oklo or?
Yeah.
I didn't know. I started to, but yeah, I didn't.
Okay, no worries. This is a long journey. For Tony, for you guys that invested money, this annual thing. If you're not where you need to be, whenever you started paying me this time this year, then you say, okay, I'm going to give Brown some more money. But if you're where you need to be, you're good. Same thing. Doug kind of pays on the monthly. And when you're where you need to be, you're good. And I don't have to keep talking to you about stuff, and we'll just keep it moving. But I
plan on keeping you a couple more years.
Yeah, it takes a minute because you should be able to make money by just listening to me. So it will pay for itself if you just listen to me, right?
Yep.
Right. So, so now let's take a look. Hold on. Questions about Oklo. Let's look at the daily real quick too, so you can see it. The importance, and I feel like I'm mad at you guys. I'm not. The importance of looking at the stock in all time frames. And why do I keep saying that? Because your perspective is, if I'm only looking at the daily, I can't see the bigger picture of the weekly. And if I'm only looking at the weekly, well, I won't see the whole big monthly picture that really shows it to me. So now when if you're looking, and then if I'm looking at the hourly only, depending on what kind of trader I am, I won't see the bigger picture if I'm not looking at the daily. So let me slow down for a second. If you're a scalper, meaning you're just taking little bits and pieces, a 1%, 2%, you're always kind of just getting little bits of money all day long, and that's how you like to trade, then obviously your time frames are a lot smaller, right? It might be 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, day. You know, if you're a day trader, your perspective might be weekly, daily, hourly, 15 minutes, and you're kind of closing out positions. If you're a position trader, you kind of want to look at all of it, where you're taking a position in a stock. And if you're uh, um, more of a long-term holder, well, you got a long time to hold stuff, whatever that long term looks like for you. And then you marry the style of how you like to trade with the goals, but you also have to be very mindful of what it is you're looking at, because Oklo may dictate that you better be careful trying to do whatever, because the big picture is telling you it's coming down. And this particular picture, maybe the weekly tells you, hey, this actually might be good for scalping because we're about ready to make the turn. Or this picture, weekly's coming down, we're figuring out a bottom, we're about ready to make the turn. You might want to position trade this, buy it, but hold it for a second, let it do what it's going to do for a few days, get that 20+%, and then get out. Or if you're like, I'm position trading it, I bought it right, we're coming up, but I recognize that it's got a lot more leg room, and that's probably micro strategy sort of example where we might be 260 to 300. I'm kind of maybe taking a little bit of a longer term approach, and that longer term maybe, a couple of months or a month, depending how fast it can get there. So think about what you're trying to accomplish. Focus on trading well. You heard me say it a million times, and I'm going to say it a million more times. Don't worry about the money. Focus on executing well, and the money will follow you. If you just execute well, the money's going to follow you. So now when we look at, and you write notes down why you're like daily versus weekly versus hourly, blah, blah, blah. When I look at Oklo on the daily, well, clearly here's your downtrend. Here's your bottom in here, kind of going across. We're in a bit of a channel for about 3 days. I'll make this bigger. We were in a bit of a channel about 3 or 4 days. Clearly, I know you guys know this. Here was the resistance area right here. Here was the buy, but we broke out 5% more. Did we have the volume to go with it? We did not here, but Stochastics was telling you to make the turn here the day before. We backed off of it about 50%. We broke out, but we didn't break out. We didn't confirm the breakout, but we were trying. It's telling you, hey, we're about ready to go. And so when we actually broke out, sometimes volume does back off because you had the volume the previous day. So you've got to think through stuff. Oh, it was trying to break out right here, and here was a bit of a volume spike, at least over the last 4 days, but we couldn't hold it. But the next day, although we didn't have the same amount of volume, it started to go. We closed to the top of the range. And when you saw that we were, what is this, Doug, 91, we'll call it, 5%'s like 4.5, we'll call it whatever, 95-ish for 5%. The stock closed at 96.59, confirmed the breakout, although we didn't have the volume, but common sense told you, well, I think we're going. Technically, everything else is telling you. Bottom up from the bottom line histogram, it's more reliable. So we were bottoming up. When we were coming down here, histogram was still going up. So we had a bullish divergence. And then technically everything looked pretty good. You're like, oh, okay, well, even if I bought the 95, because we were looking at a daily close, and if we're saying 95 was the 5% breakout, and we're looking at the daily, well, we really didn't have the volume, but you logically thought through it. You're like, I'm going to go ahead and buy it. A day later, we're at, good gracious, a day later, we hit 114. So you bought the 95, 10% puts you at 105. You probably almost made 20% of your money in a day. That is how you go from, and although mine was a bit crazy how I went from it, $5,000 to $2 million, to be really good at shortening the time frame to get the money. So if you guys can make 10% almost every day, remember my goal was to make 10, excuse me, 10% a week. And I recognized that that was very doable because if I found the right stocks, I can make 20% in a day. It just depends on what you're in. So you try to find this quick money. If you guys want to make a crap ton of money, focus in on breakouts. See the big picture, recognize oh, this thing's about ready to go. Let me go ahead and give it some money. If you had 20 grand, let me give it 5 grand right here at 95. A day later, you're up 15, 20% on your 5,000, you made a grand and you sold it. We went sideways for 4 days. Down started to go Frazier. You knew right here this was support. Doesn't take a whole lot to figure that was support, support, support. You're like, oh, we're gonna go through support. This was getting weaker. You've got to marry your chart patterns and what you're looking at with technical indicators. And it was telling you're starting to get weaker. And then we had this, what? A bearish engulfing. It engulfed the previous 5 days. It just engulfed everything. But you knew support should be right in here someplace. Doesn't mean it's going to hold support, which it did not. Big, ugly, bearish red candle closed at the bottom of the range for the day. You're like, yeah, we're going down probably. Went down further. Now this acted as what? Resistance. Can't get through it. Can't get through it. Hits it head. Hits it head. Hell, you can't get through it. Down it goes some more. And then you're like, oh, we're bottoming and we're looking technically, you're like, well, possibly we could make the turn. We look at this candle here, very tight range, like a spinning top, just almost like a near doji, not quite sure we want to go down anymore. And then we draw some simple lines. You're like, well, look, oh, we gapped. We gapped here, got a little volume spike. Stochastic starting to make the turn. We're starting to come up technically from histogram. Once you had the gap from here, we call this roughly 72 and some change. 5% is like $3 and some change. So we'll call it 75 and some change, almost 76. Did this stock on this day close around 76? It closed at 77.80. Had a little bit of a volume spike. I'm going to go ahead and buy it around that 76. I can see we got some volume. And survey says 1, 2, 3 days later, you bought the 76. We're at 97. 76, 97, 20-point move, whatever that adds up to, we know it's more than 20% over 4 days. That's what you got to do. All right. Questions on that? Tony.
No questions on that.
Doug.
No questions.
All right. So I want you to review this video because I know I'm recording. You're like, I see what he's saying. I see what he's saying.
Yep.
All right. So another one I told you, ELF. I've been telling you guys for it seems like a month. When ELF breaks 81, why would I keep saying 81? Because I knew, let's take a look at the big picture first. Monthly. We know we had an uptrend, so I'll save you the ugliness. We know here, if we kind of look, we know this was support, support, support. So this line is where we're at. You can clearly see on the other side of it, resistance, 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 down, up, resistance, resistance, down. I know that support down here is probably somewhere right around here in this general area, right in here somewhere, just by looking at it, right? So we hit our head, we came up, we hit our head again. I'm sorry, we held support on the bottom. And so, we don't have a clear view of what we need to do other than we thought this would be the bottom around 60. Folks knew when we hit 60 before, we bounced off of it. Months and months go by, we hit 60 roughly again. Folks are probably more inclined to think about buying. Histogram's going down, following suit, but I don't really know what's going on until I really look a bit better at the weekly. I need to lean in a little bit because I can see monthly what it's kind of telling me. So I know 60-ish is a bit where support should be. And here are my monthly lines. Now I can see it a bit better on the weekly. And let me put some glasses on. So on the weekly, you know, the stock is going up, but what is histogram doing?
Going down.
It's going down.
Going
So it's already
down.
telling you, you just got to look. I mean, it's like a stop sign, a traffic light. It's like the road is out. You're like, I don't care about that road. I'm still going forward. The stock's going up. Okay. The road is out though. You can hang in there for a number of weeks, but this stock's going down, right? So surely when it's tried to make another high, this was resistance, 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 these general areas. Stock's getting weaker and weaker and weaker the last two times it tried to spin up here. And then eventually the bottom falls out. But you knew the bottom should fall out down to around 60. And then so it held serve down around, what is this here? Close of, this is 73, and then here is 70. And so, it was holding serve around that 70 mark. And then, as the stock started to go up, so too was histogram. But why did I keep saying 80? I said 80, 81, guys, because once we bottomed weeks ago, and then we kind of bounced off the bottom, we spun up to here. High was 84, the close was 81.40. Make this bigger, 81.40. So when I draw a resistance line, it's about right in here, guys, 81-ish. So this is resistance for many weeks. And I'm like, don't waste your time buying this thing unless you're buying it within the channel and it spins on down to like 70 and you're going to sell the 80 and make 15% on your money. But this is going sideways. Histogram is now starting to improve. They're coming to get it. So I'm like, hey, when this thing breaks 81-ish, you should start to look at buying it. Here comes the volume spike, at least over the last few weeks. Still about flat to the previous 2 weeks, but we got 2 more days. Firming up technically. Stochastic making the right up against it last week. But we still really don't know because we hadn't gone through it. So, but I knew 81 is kind of my trigger point that I should be looking at. So if I just bought the 81, we're up $5 and I'm up 7% or whatever, right? So if I look at the daily, will the daily give me more info? I lean into the different time frame, make this bigger. So now the daily, I'm looking at it. I see my 80, 81-ish area. And still, this is not jumping off the screen at me, but here we tried to make the turn. Stochastics below the bottom blue line, more reliable, crossed over purple on this day. What did the stock do? Really nothing, right? Or right here. But it's telling you it's about ready to make the turn. Then the next day we pulled back. Let me make this bigger so you can see it. Then we're making the turn here. It's telling you we're probably going to make the turn. The next day we pull back to the purple line. We take it all the way back down because we had this bit of a bump. Just use your basic common sense. 75 and some change. We bump and ran all the way to a high of 80. So, it's really not even a 10% move. We closed back down towards that 75 at 76.84, but higher, we're putting in higher lows. Higher lows. So that's also positive. And but we're still not sold on it yet because technically it's still not really sold on it. So, but if we're putting in higher lows and I'm looking at the daily, I can kind of see that resistance is really about right in here. Hit your head. It's all in here. Hit your head. A little bit above, below it, below it, below it, below it, a little above, below, 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 below. Can't really quite get through this 79.55 area. So my buy might be 79.55, 105%, whatever that is. But I know bigger pictures telling me it's 81 where you need to look to start to buy. So nothing really jumped off the page at you on the lower time frames, but the bigger time frames were telling you probably should be trying to buy this thing if it hits anywhere near this 70 mark. And it didn't get back down to it. The low for last month was 73.74. And you're like, yeah, I'm probably going to take a stab at it right here with a tight stop. Because what if it did not hold and it started to go down? Technically, things were getting closer to each other, and it wasn't a great setup this would be one where you're like, if I buy the support level at 67, 70-ish, just make sure I have a tight stop. But I thought, once we make the turn, 80, 81 starts to become my trigger point. Now, if we start to keep going, well, resistance is initially somewhere probably around this 118 to high up in here at around 135. So if I'm buying the 86, I know 118 is roughly the upside. It's 14 plus 18 is $32 into the 86 is whatever the hell that is, 35% or so. So again, buying ELF at 81 made you money. So not a great setup here. It's not as readily apparent as MicroStrategy or Oklo. Questions on ELF?
What do you think ELF will go up to? What?
Don't know. Again, I just said 118 might be where it might stop a little. ELF,
Uh-huh.
It's that women's makeup stuff.
Yeah.
You see it all the time at
Makeup.
Target and
Yeah.
everywhere else. You see
Yeah.
right here, you see the breakout is right here. We're
Yeah.
starting to go. So last time, right? You see right in here, just eyeball stuff, you guys. Okay, this right in here was about resistance over here. Extend that line out. Here's where the bottom fell out. Resistance is probably somewhere in here, 118-ish, because not a whole lot will stop it because the bottom fell out here. So think about it this
Yeah.
way. Everyone who got caught punched in the face right here,
Uh-huh.
it opened way down here. It opened this day at $89 and some change. It closed
Yeah.
the day at 76. If you got caught sleeping, well, you're in it. If you bought it after it dropped, well, you bought it somewhere between 89 and 74 on this day. And then it spun on down lower because you got to think about what do the other folks do that you're competing against? Down to a bottom of 68. Some of the folks bought it at 68. Did they turn around and sell it days later when we hit 82 almost? I would have, got
Yeah.
the 12, 13%, whatever that was. Then
Yeah.
we went sideways. So this downtrend line that's in here, this resistance that's right here, we're starting to break away here. Is the upside about 115 to 118? We'll see how the rest of the week closes out. And you also see bigger time frame. Look here, guys. Boom, here and here. Guess where that line extends to? This general area. Boom. Look where we stop right there. Goes across. They're like, I don't know what the word is. They're like whispers. They're like not whirlpools. They're like drafts. That you see just where stuff is. They just paint a picture for you. You know that this was initially support, broke through it, made the turn. Now this is still support. It's the breakthrough is right in here where this downtrend is here. So the breakout is right here. But we know this was support because it held there for a number of weeks. Then we run up here, we double top, top, top. We come down, guess where support is? Back down where it was before, and it held. And then we went up, but we had this area in here that became support. And going across, guess where resistance then was? Because this was support in here, and then we broke through it. So what was support, this general area now becomes resistance. And guess where we stopped? Resistance, 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 down. And so we have these, I don't know what, I can't think of the word. But here again was resistance. Guess where we stopped here? Resistance, 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 down. Here comes support again, because that's where we stopped the last time. People are just simply trading on support and resistance. And then they add indicators in to help them understand what they should do. But the folks who take it to the next level, they lean in. They really understand what is happening, and then they really make good decisions and they manage their money well so that they can figure out how they can make some money on this deal. And then they lean into this side. And I know ELF 80, 81 is the turn based on this is resistance in here, the smaller time frame. And then we're starting to make the turn. But as we make the turn, right in here, I'm making this bigger. Resistance is somewhere right up in here where I just extend the line, which is around 98, 99. And then the next level up is probably around 118. So initially, I guess a little more specific, the answer to your question, Tony, it's probably around 98, 99. So there's still, have to ask yourself how much meat is on the bone. If
Yeah.
there's $13 on the bone, it's still a good 11, 12%. If it kind of gets going, and then you start to ask yourself, are there any near-term triggers that are going to help ELF get to that 99? Is there somebody in its space like Ulta Beauty that had news or something that may help them with the turn? Ulta Beauty's breaking out. Look right here on the weekly. Here's your resistance area. Ulta Beauty broke out about 5 weeks ago, whatever that is. It's breaking out right there. And so looking at Ulta in its class sector, here's resistance, 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 down, resistance, resistance, breakout last month. So Ulta Beauty broke out last month at 544. Simple drill. Oh my gosh. You're like Eugene, you're a dead horse beater. 544 times 105% is 571. You would be buying Ulta at 571 if it closed the time frame that you're looking at with GV or good volume. We had a volume spike. You bought the 571. The stock is at 657 minus 657. 657 minus 571 is 86. 86 into the 571 is a 15% gain on your money since the breakout. So you can make 15% on your money in the last month and a week. And so that goes back to me saying, what do I say, you guys? If you just earn 10% on your money every month for the next 5 years and let it compound, if you started with $5,000, that money will turn into about $1.5 million. And how hard is it to make 10% on your money a month? It really isn't. You just got to look, take the time to go through names and find the right setups. And as I'm looking, I was looking at Kim's portfolio because you can see it right here. I told you. I told you HIMS. This is Kim's portfolio, ELF, Oklo, MicroStrategy, Lowe's, because I have Kim's portfolio, I have Doug's portfolio, and Tony, I don't have your portfolio. And what I do at times, I'll put alerts on them. And Kim, she's pretty active. She'll call me and stuff. And I'll look and I'll say, and I looked at her portfolio. I'm like, all of her stuff is about ready to turn. And when I looked at it all, that's why I told you guys, HIMS, ELF, Oklo, MicroStrategy, all this stuff's about ready to turn. Lowe's, because she's a big owner of Lowe's. And I told her, 245, Kim, Lowe's, once it breaks, it's going to go. So 15% easy money. Lowe's, LOW. I tell Kim this all the time. She'll watch this video later. She knows I beat her up over it. I'll say to her, because she used to work for Lowe's, I'll say, why must you be married to this stock? It's her safety blanket. She gets it. I said, Kim, every time Lowe's comes down to about 215, what does it do? It holds the bottom, then it runs its little self up to around 270. It's been in this channel right in here for many, many months, going all the way back to February of 2024 in the channel. Buy it here, 215, sell it when it hits 270-ish. Buy it here at 215-ish, sell it when it hits 270-ish. So right in here is the downtrend within the channel. This is 237-ish, 237, and I'm sure if I look into the smaller time frames, times 105% puts us about 249. When I lean into the bottom time frames, I knew that the breakout was somewhere in here, and that I've been telling you guys buy Lowe's. And then the other day when we started hit 245, I was like, you guys need to buy Lowe's. It's about ready to go. I knew it was about ready to go also in here. Downtrend. What is this, Doug? What does this look like to you? Do you know what this candle is called?
Thor's hammer.
What is it?
Thor's hammer.
Yeah, it kind of looks like Thor's hammer. One could argue it's almost like a hanging man, not quite fully, because if we have a little bit more of what would be the noose right here, and then the head, and then the body. But what this tells you is this stock was way down here at a low of 219 roughly. It opened right here, this corner. The low was here. It powered all the way to almost the high of the month to the very high as it trade. If that doesn't tell you bullish strength, I don't know what will. It came off the bottom right here, right, of that 215-ish area, and it
Mhm.
powered all the way back to almost closing at the high of the month. The high of the month was 243.05. It closed at 242.48. That tells you strength. So as you look at the monthly, the big picture, you're like, triple bottom, quadruple bottom here. Breakout was here. So it was easy buy at like 227. Ran up that same month, easily made more than 10% on my money. Continue to run the following month. Topped out. Why was it going to top out there? Because that's where it always stops at 275. Sold off. Came all the way back down, closed below where it opened because we opened here, high, low, closed bottom right hand corner. Weaker, coming down. Now we get a retouch. Oh my gosh, we're back where we started from. This is what will get on my nerves. Kim knows this. I love her to death. I said, Kim, we could have sold it 270 because she's been with me almost a year. Like, what is it about that you keep watching your money go up and come down, right? Go up and come down. I said, how did that serve you well, watching it go up and come down? Take the money. You'll hear me say that a million. Oh my gosh, you guys, take the damn
Yeah.
money, right? Take the money, come back and rebuy it here, and then resell it when we get back up here. But if it keeps going, which Kim did a great job with Eli Lilly, you got to get back on the horse. You don't have to sell all of your position. If you had taken some new money and you bought the 215, you might have said, well, I'm going to sell it all. Or you might say, I'm going to take half of the gain at the top. I spent 10 grand at 215, runs to 270. I'm up, whatever we'll call it. We'll say we're up 50%, just making up numbers. The $5,000 that I get, I'm going to take $2,500 out of it. I'm going to take my cost basis out of it, the $10,000 that I spent. So now I put $1,250 back here, and I leave the $2,500 that I have left from that new purchase there. So there's a number of ways to do things. So anyway, this was telling you it's time to buy even here with the strength. Then this downtrend here, we did not close 5% above this line here, but then right here, once we started to do it, it was time to get on board. We're early in the month, obviously, from a volume standpoint. We're early on trading day number 4 or whatever it is. So we got a ways to go. So we're breaking out. We've broken out. This line going across here is about 242. Is it a full breakout yet? Times 105%. Yes. 254 is technically breakout from this overhead resistance here ish. And I can lean into the smaller time frames to get an idea of better where this all was. Channel we were in, this is the monthly. If I just buy the breakouts within the channel, buy here. If this were my break at 229 times 105% is 240. If I buy the 240, I'm up $16 right now. $16 divided by the 240, I'm up 7% on the money over the course of the few weeks, buying the downtrend here or buying the bottom within the channel itself. So where's Lowe's a buy again? Well, Lowe's will be a buy if we actually go through this 274 range. So what will I do? I'll put an alert in. Alert me if this stock trades at or above, let's just say 275, because it just never gets through there. At or above 275. So you could have bought the bottom at 217. You could have taken your cost basis out of it again after you've made money, and you just ride the free shares. A lot of times people they like doing this and they just accumulate free shares everywhere. In case Lowe's goes to 1,000, they're like, it didn't cost me anything. I already have my money out. Maybe they take some profit, and then the rest of it I'm just gonna just hold for forever in case it goes to 1,000, and they ride free shares. So Lowe's, another really simple, easy play. And the only thing you have to do is just look at big time frame. You're like, well, what does the big picture tell me? Big picture tells me that this is the bottom on Lowe's, again, without beating the dead horse around here. This is clearly the top on Lowe's. It's about right in here because Lowe's knows home improvement, but they don't know going past 275. Stop, 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 stop. Stop, stop, stop. Resistance. It doesn't get through 275.
Mhm.
And that's the way you're going to trade it. You're like, okay, in here, roughly right around in here was support leading up to right in here. We were in this channel like this. And then we hit our head, and then we start to pull away from the bottom of the channel here, right? And then we start to make this new channel. We found support again. See how this was support? Now this next area is support. All of it is within the larger trading range. New support is here. Old support was here, right? Downtrend here. Triple, quadruple bottom here. Breakout right there. Downtrend. Power move off the bottom. Coming sideways. Resistance. Buying. Buying here. Buying here. Buying here through the break. There's a number of buy points. Buying here, if we go close 5% above 275, 275 times 105%, 189 we'll call it. I'm gonna put another alert in. Alert me 289. If this stock trades at, we'll call it 287. Give me a minute to think about it. 287. If we print 280, it's probably time to buy because this stock hadn't seen 280 in a minute, way back in here months ago. And then we had a little 274 in here. So it's been way back a year ago when we were in the 280s. Make sense?
Yes.
All right. So let's pick a stock. Tony, pick a stock and tell me about it.
Let's see. CCJ.
All right. Walk me through it. What's the big picture telling you?
Let's see here. Let me get on there. Yeah, it's I don't think it's
What?
yeah, it's about at its top right now.
Uh-huh. Kind of
Yeah,
topped
it's
out right here.
yeah, it's
About a
done
triple
topped
top,
out. Yeah, and it's
right?
about topped out now, yeah.
We have this uptrend that's right in here,
Yeah,
like so. We have support roughly right in here. Just eyeball it. You can see it, right?
yeah,
So we broke out. No, where was the first buy, Tony, was right here. This is a hanging man for the most part.
yeah, yeah,
Noose, head, body.
yeah,
Gapped right here. The first buy point was around 45. It was time to buy. Volume
yeah,
spike, right? We know the rule.
yeah,
Way back here, that particular month, we're starting to try to go through it. Stochastics.
right.
Histogram's really not telling us anything crazy. Almost really like it's almost flat, but almost a bit of a bearish sort of divergence, barely. Um, but you can see that the bottom was really about right here. We were in a bit of a channel right in here, right?
Yeah,
Downtrend, break of the downtrend, bit of a volume spike, a gap up. That should ring the bell for you. Ding, 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 ding. Hey, we're gapping up within the trend. It's probably time to start buying it. If you bought the 46, 47, 48, you would have more than doubled your money. But you had to wait for it. 6 months. It feels like a very long time to double my money, but that's just
yeah,
me. Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah,
But if you can
yeah,
double your money every 6 months, that's a perfect thing. You'll make a lot of money.
yeah.
But then we spun up to here. We flattened out here. We broke out again. So you could have taken the money here once we started to stall. Why would you have taken the money here when you saw this candle? Possibly taken the money when you saw this candle right here. Anybody?
Because I believe it's going to drop.
Why?
Doji.
Yes,
Yep,
Doji. So when you see this fight going on, look, you went from 45 to 70, 80. Oh, hell, you almost doubled your money in 3 months.
yeah,
Guys,
yeah,
take the money. If you can get a
yeah,
double in 3 months, get the hell out of it. I'd have gotten out of it probably right here, just knowing me. And I would have waited. And then if I saw there was a bit of a fist fight going on the next month, I'm like, okay, I can wait. And I started to
yep,
look at, some of the technical indicators. I'm like, we're still not there with a full breakout here. We're going sideways. If this resistance area is about, call it 74 times 105%, I'm looking, wake me up when we hit 78. This stock closed at 77 for the month, but still backed off the high. So still not quite there. And then this next month, we opened at 74 and some change. Here is 78 right there. Okay, we're starting to go through that resistance layer, that 5%. If I then now, because I already sold it, I turned around and rebought it at 78 because I put an alert in, alert me if this stock trades at 78, which is your 5%. Then I bought the 78. Within 2 months, we're at 110. 110 minus 78 is a $32 point move. 32 into 78 is 41% of my money in less than 2 months. That's how you want to do it. When I am, that's why I need to leave school. When I am focused on nothing but stocks, it is just moving money like the Matrix. You just
Yeah.
keep moving money. And then the balance just keeps growing like a tiger killing a 10-pound cat. That's what you want. You're so dialed in and you're just moving money. You're like, this is way too easy. These, this has got to become easy for you looking at this. And if you have to watch this video 100 times, you're like, I see what he's saying. If you just
Yeah.
stick with the simple rule, 5% breakout, don't rush, Doug and Tony. Look at what you're looking at. When you're looking at this chart of somebody's CCJ, whatever that is, all of you guys can see this, right? You see this. You're like, oh, well, downtrends. Where would I buy it? Clearly supports bottomed here at 35, 36. I see there's a downtrend right here. Well, where would I buy it? Well, I'd buy it 5% above that 36. 36 times 105%. What's my coach keep saying? Shouting to the damn rooftops. 37.80 is where I would buy it within the channel. If I bought the 37.80, this is a weekly chart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks later, it hit a high of, we'll just round it up to 58. That's 21 point move into the 30s, 38 roughly. That's 55% of my money over 5 weeks. Man, if you just keep doing that, but all of a sudden now you have this rotation of money. You have 100 grand. And with the 100 grand, you have, say we have, I don't know, we'll call it 10 stocks, $10,000 each. But if this particular $10,000 is CCJ, 5 weeks later, I made 55%, I made $5,500. I just keep rotating in and out of stuff. Now this freed up. Yep, I let it run and you're just moving money. And then, it's not about me. My problem was while I've taken a break in the markets, I paid so much damn money in taxes. And then cash got very tight. And all of my money's in this house, $1.4 million. It's just in this house. And then you're like, okay, do I need to leverage the house to borrow the money to get back to full-time trading? And we've just kind of been in a spot. Maybe the good Lord needed to say, you need to pause for a second and then get going again. But so you've got to be able to see this right here, Doug. What are we looking at? 59 was resistance. You're like, well, Eugene, Mr. Horse Speeder says 59 times 105% is 62 roughly. I will buy this at 62 if I have GV, good volume. When it closes at 62, right here we closed at 60. And then right here we gapped. As soon as that damn thing hit 62, roughly, excuse the French, and we had all this volume coming in on the weekly, time to buy. Bought at the 62. Yeah, we spun up here and we paused. Spun up to about 80. I'll get off this high horse. 80 minus 62, 18 into 62 move where I bought it, 29% of my money. And it took me 1 week, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, roughly 6 weeks to get it. If I can get 29% of my money, goes all the way back to, can you make 10% on your money every month, compound it and grow it? So if you get rich slowly, as you learn, believe me, this is all going to slow down and then your pace is going to pick up. You're like, oh my gosh, this is like shooting fish in a barrel. And you just start to move money. Questions on that? But finishing the thought on buying this right here, Tony, where would I buy it? Looking at here to here. What am I doing?
From the top to
Right here is your top. We
yeah,
came down, found support,
yeah,
and we're right back up to where the top is.
yeah.
We've got some volume coming in at least over the last 3 weeks. Stochastics made the turn right here, telling you the thing was going to go up. Look, red over purple.
Yeah,
This was resistance right here within this trading range.
yeah,
Here came your green candle.
yeah.
So at this point, we're at the top of the range
Top,
for the
yeah,
week. We're as high as we've been. High right here. The close was 102.
yeah,
Closing high. I like closing highs. We're
yeah.
past that. We're looking like we're going to close above 102 with 1 day to go. I might be inclined to think about buying this stock because this is about resistance right here. I like to use the close.
Uh-huh.
102, 102 times 105% is 107. If this stock closes at 107 tomorrow with
Yeah,
GV, I might be inclined to buy it. And I would look over here to think about what do they do? Do they earn any money? What's the share structure like? You've got to put it all together. And then if it all makes sense, you're like, oh yeah. So now if I look at the bigger picture, if 107 is now my buy point,
uh-huh.
now we're looking at the monthly. Look at this green candle so far. We're early in the month. Nice. Bulls are in control. We can't worry about the volume yet because we're early in the month. We're flirting with being overbought. You see this red here on relative
Right.
strength.
Yeah,
So I'm really not loving that. So you're probably going to need lower time frame confirmation to make you feel better about the 107. And just be mindful that the bigger time frame is saying, hey, we're a little bit overbought. So we'll see if here's our high close on the daily. This is 10, almost 107. Because remember, we want to look at all time frames. This is
yeah,
107 almost. We're spinning up to it. And if we're kind of overbought, yeah, you know what? You might stand aside because the last time we were up here, we went down.
yeah, yeah,
So just,
yeah,
you'd have to really clear it. Better buy point was here at 81. Better buy point was right in here when we broke through this resistance area around 94. You still could
right.
have just captured the direct move. Remember, your goal is to buy direct moves. I'm telling you, it's the easiest thing you could do. Buy
Yeah,
the direct move up. If I don't know, this is another bad scenario. The Americans are another bad example. The Americans are coming through Venezuela. They're bombing stuff, making a path to go get Maduro. Buy the direct move. They're coming. You're not going to be able to stop them. They're going to get their person. Buy the direct move. All right, I'm
yeah.
sorry about the horrible examples. Buy the direct move. So Doug, give me a stock.
All right. Alpha Sierra Tango Sierra.
All right, walk me through it. Big picture tells us what?
That it is on the rise.
Yeah, it's on the rise, been in an uptrend, it's held the uptrend line in here, hit it once. Once we get a couple of points, we've got our line, right? Point,
Mhm.
we can't really go straight up like that. We kind of went across, point. Okay, now we got our line. We can extend that out. Hit the line again, hit the line again. And this was what?
Resistance.
Yeah, couldn't get through this general area, came back down, hit support, came back up. We went through it, but we didn't close above it. Went back down, held support. We gapped this month from last month right in here because you should be able to eyeball it and see it. I'm pretty sure it's a gap. We closed 72.63, open, yeah, 74.34. You should be able to eyeball it and see that we gapped, filled the gap right here because the low. So we filled the gap. And then we broke through resistance. We'll call resistance right around 79-ish. So we needed 105% is whatever that is. Just you should do the drill and just get used to the drill. Call it about 83. 83 was the buy point if you bought the 83 if we had good volume. Of course, this breakout, we're early in the month, so think about time frame. We're barely in the month. So
Mhm.
83 was your buy point. You bought the 83, you're up about 10% of your money. You could have made, actually, the stock ran to 97. Could have made more than 10% on your money in the last however many trading days. Hadn't been that many, right?
Nope.
So if we look at the weekly, here's our monthly line. Make this bigger. Where would I buy this, Doug, on the weekly? Going backwards.
Going backwards.
Tell me a couple of places. Tell me 3 places tell me 4 places where I would have bought it. Let's go way back here. Where would I have bought it in here?
Would have bought it at, I don't know what day that is.
In here?
I would have gone first to the left,
Here?
now to the right, and one more block. I would
This
have
block
bought
right here?
the next one.
This
Well,
block
well, yeah, the breakout is that
right
block
here.
there.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so you'd have bought it first here one time. Then what do we do here? What is all this?
It went sideways. It was
Yeah,
channeled.
consolidation, top was right here, right?
Yeah.
And then we went down. And you'd have bought it again where?
Right
Maybe
there.
here, if there was enough
If there's enough
meat on the
volume,
bone, 5%. Then we went what?
sideways again.
We did, resistance. Then we went here, big green candle volume spike. The week before, we were flirting with breaking through the purple. But we hadn't quite gotten there yet, right? So
Correct.
then when we started to go, you're like, oh, it's time to buy it because resistance was roughly, I can't really see, we'll call it 25. 25 times 105% is 26.25. When this stock hit 26.25, which is way back here somewhere, wherever that is, somewhere right around there, it was time to buy it. And so then 3 weeks later, 26.25 puts you at, hell, it hit 54. 26.25 hit 54. That is more than that's double your money in
Yep.
3 weeks. Then we went sideways with a slight bias to the downside. Then you could have bought it again when it broke out here, right? Would have made money. Then we went down. Well, we didn't break out and we went sideways and then we went down and then we went down again. And then this area in here is a bit of resistance. Here, down. Resistance couldn't get through it, but we traded above it, but we didn't close above it. Stochastics was making the turn the week prior. Stochastics was telling you, hey, we're about ready to go. Then the next week, we actually went through it, but we didn't close above it. But Stochastics tell, hey, we're turning. And if you just bought right here in the 42s, 4 weeks later, you more than doubled your money again. You recognize that you needed to get out because we had this crazy pullback from the top. People took the money. We went all the way from 103-ish all the way down here to a close of 83. So now, and then we had this going down further. And then we're trying to hang in there. So now we've got this bit of a resistance area in here. And then down goes Fraser. We start to go down. But we go down to where? Where resistance was before, which is now support. So we stop in here. And if we look at our bigger time frame, we see that that was our bigger line on the monthly for support. So you knew the buy not only was on here on the monthly, but it was also here on the weekly, right in here. You're like, oh, I got 2 confirmations that the buy is around $49, $50. So you bought the $50. The next week, it turned with a massive green candle and broke out for you. And then it runs up to 70 something. You're up 40% of your money. You're like, is it going to run even further? But where would it hit its head? Well, I know it's going to hit its head possibly right in here because we already established that. So then the very next week, we get this near doji. We try to get through it, but we don't close above it because that's resistance. And there's this fight going on. You're like, I need to take this money. So I take the 45%. I wait. We come down, but we show some strength. We come way down, but we power back up. And we're all over the place. But here still is resistance. Right in here. And then finally, winner, chicken dinner, we get this bullish engulfing. This engulfs all of this as far as the body. And, but technically down here, not really in love with it. It's kind of all over the place. From the bottom up's more reliable. So bottom up, the bar is up, kind of following the trend, more reliable that we're probably looking at a trend change. Stochastics, a little bit overdone. Doesn't mean something can't just keep going up, but you better be mindful of it because when we were above the blue line here, we kept going, which was good. You made money. Above the blue line here, we actually turned and started to come down. Above the blue line here, we kept going, made money. Above the blue line here, I don't know, but the what's different, let's see if there's something logical. Above the blue line here, we were dealing with a breakout. See that? So even though it's above the blue line, the scenario is different. It was a breakout, so we kept going higher. Above the not blue line, yeah, this blue line
Yeah.
here. Above the blue line here, we were in no man's land. We were as high probably as if we have been in a long time, and then we came down. Above the blue line here, we're dealing with a breakout, right?
Yep.
Right. So above the blue line here, winner, winner, chicken dinner, we're dealing with a breakout. But we've got to be mindful. We're dealing with a breakout here, but we got to be mindful of the bigger picture still here. So I don't know that I'm in love with it because top, 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 down, top, top, top. Think we may be going because I like to look at closes. Close of 82 and some change, 80, 77, 83. Here's where our winner chicken dinner is really starting to start right here this last week with the big candles telling you it's time to buy. And so you might be in good shape there. Back to the bigger picture, looking at AST, okay, it's as high as it's ever been. I make sure I understand what the heck has been going on. Now, if I drop down to the daily, me looking at it, I see I've got a marker here, 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 and here. So it goes a bit like, and lean in a bit like so. Got to adjust your line a little bit, get the majority of the middle, majority, the majority, the majority. So we have this gentle uptrend. Buy it when it hits here, sell it someplace when you figure out where it makes sense. Buy it when it hits here, sell it someplace. So now looking at the daily, I lean in, I'm like, oh, I can see this a bit better. Looks like resistance has gotta be somewhere about right in here. This area where it acted as a bit of resistance and it became support a bit right there. We dropped down, then it, was resistance, drop down, resistance, drop down, resistance, drop down. But oh, we're making these higher lows, gentle uptrend. So now we're getting close to P-pot moments where we're getting closer. It's tightly wound. We're running out of space. We're
Right.
holding the line here, but we're holding the line here. So we're spinning quicker, and we're going to spin through it. So we spin through resistance. Now this becomes support. We stop on support. Stochastics is trying to turn up. I would be more inclined, Doug, to buy this if we break through 97 and some change. But if you like it and you want to put a tight stop in, you could buy it obviously now. The thing I don't love about it is this. When you were up here before at 85, the bar was here. You hit 85 again, it got weaker and we went down. But the last time we were up here, this is still the scenario. And I don't know how the algorithm works, but I know what it does normally, but all the specifics, it's still weaker. Even when you were up here the last time, look where the bars are. They were here. Much stronger coming down. So, but remember, it is more reliable from the bottom up as far as what's going on. And from the bottom up, you see all this activity in here. It's telling you, hey, we're getting stronger. And that was the case. So you've got to know the rules. You got to see the traffic where we're a little weaker up here. But if I'm going to buy something and I knew this was supported here and this was bottom up and stochastics was also bottom up and this was relative strength was oversold, if it just had one more click, this would be blue in here, this line, once it hit past that 30 or whatever it is. So technically everything was like, it's probably a buy right here. It's oversold. Stochastic is about ready to turn, and histogram is improving, even though at times the stock is going down. So you had a bullish divergence. Really, really super easy indicator to buy this in here. And had you done that on the daily in the 50s, man, that was an easy 40% on your money within 2 weeks, about two and a half weeks. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
it makes sense.
All right. So let me pick an obscure stock. I don't know. How about something I hadn't even looked at? How about RCAT or something?
Oh, it was crazy today.
Yep, up 13%. Just another, gosh, you guys. I want you to run through it at times with me, like bottom, bottom, came off the bottom. We were in a channel. You can see where support was here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Guess where resistance is on that line, going across. Look how he just keep going across. They're like, I don't know what the word I'm thinking of. So now this was support, went through support, now becomes resistance, found support here. So we got lines, resistance now, resistance, same line, back down. Hell, I guess I'll buy it again at $4 and some change and sell it at resistance, $7 and something. Up, breakout, made it sideways, support, couldn't hold it. Now it's resistance, can't get through it. Gap above resistance, time to really buy it. Jumped from 7 something, ran to 12 something, made 40% or whatever, came back down to support, went sideways in a channel. Look how that goes too. Amazing, amazing how this goes. Went sideways in a channel, resistance. Once we got some points, resistance, 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 back down to support, resistance, resistance, can't get through it. Gap, ding, 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 something's coming. Big green candle, time to buy it. Support, 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 support. Train really leaving the station. Topping out, got weaker, came all the way back, this green one. Topped out in here, making a head and shoulders, head, shoulder, neckline. This is support. Broke support, now becomes resistance, can't get through it. Down goes Fraser, should find some sort of support in here, going all the way back here. So tried to find support, barely below it, but it's now once you went below, it's starting to act as resistance, resistance, resistance. Broke through it, buy here. Now it's support, resistance, going back to your lines here because they were support. Now it's resistance over here, support. Broke through, it's time to buy the $9 and something 4 days ago, big giant green candle. But it was easy to see here within the channel. There's your downtrend. Here comes your volume. There's stochastics turning. Here comes your gap. Completely strong green candle closing at the absolute top of the range for the day. So you had a gap, continuation gap, and then this is probably your exhaustion gap. Breakaway gap, continuation gap, exhaustion gap. We ran up to here. Guess what? We pulled more than halfway back because it's probably tired because the run started at 768. Folks made money all the way to 1272. If they could got the very top, minus 768. $5.04 into your 768 if you bought the breakout, roughly 66% on your money, depending on where you bought it. And if you didn't sell the top, you at least got 50% on your money if you have any kind of brains in your head, right? In a matter of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. When I get back to full-time trading, I want you guys it'll take you a minute to do exactly what I just pointed out to you. I just want you to run through it till you're absolutely bored with it. And you're like, this is too easy. And you'll just keep making money. All right, let's pick let's pick something we don't know that's not on your list. Tony, just pick any stock.
Geez, I wouldn't know.
Hell,
Uh,
Hell, I don't know. Walmart. Let's look at Walmart. WMT. Let's see if we can find out about Walmart. Don't know what the retailers are. Is that Walmart? Yeah, Walmart. Big picture, Walmart. Let's see here. Hadn't looked at Walmart in a while because what do we see, you guys? Resistance. All in here. Tried to go through it. Couldn't hold it. So we were in a channel that was about like, it was skinny right here for months, right? We were just tight range. Drop down. General uptrend. You're like, oh, extend this line out. This is still part of our channel for the most part, right? And we're just been in the channel for forever. Walmart, boring, just dead money for it's like 2 years. Gosh.
Wow.
Then it's
Yeah.
trying to go through, like, oh, it might be leaving the station. If this were close 5081, 5081 times 105% is 53.35. Alert me if this stock closes at 53.35. That didn't happen. Oh my gosh, this is like pulling teeth. That didn't, gosh, still not there, but trying to go. This was your tipping point where you know the candle's getting bigger. It's probably getting close. Right here, finally, barely. Jeez. July 2023, 53.29. And then it still didn't give you the money. We went into another stupid channel. Good gracious. Gosh, it's painful. And then this train's leaving the station here finally. But it didn't leave the station long, and we stair stepped up until it finally went. Gosh, I hate this ugly stock. But when it finally went, it went. And it took you a minute to kind of recognize, and this is one of those deals where no one's trying to buy Walmart anyway for a bounce. The stock doesn't bounce. It just is a long, ugly,
Long wait. Yeah.
yeah. But when it finally went, it did go strong for 3, 6, 9, 10 months. It finally went strong. And when we finally got up here, it printed a near doji right there. And that's when you knew you're like, you know, I might need to get out. It didn't print any doji anywhere else, did it? Man, that's not quite one because remember we got to have long wick, skinnier body.
Right.
Um,
Hanging man. That's
yeah, a bit of a doji there, but that's just going sideways. When you see a doji at the top of an uptrend, it is bearish. So we went, and it tells you that there's a fight going on. Then we went sideways again. Gosh. And then we broke out right here. So it just wouldn't be something I would buy. But if you have really identified it, you felt like the train was going to leave the station, maybe you bought some and this was a longer term move if the economy was doing whatever happened here. What happened? May 2024. Who knows what was going on in the economy in May 2024. So that's not a good example. So but this boring sort of trade. But you could have bought the breakout right here because you understood that at $100, 105 was the breakout. So at 105 was here, roughly in here. Anyway, you bought the 105. Within a month and a half, it hit 117. You get $12 on the 105, and you made 11%. If you can make 11% in just over a month, you'll take it. Take the money. Your job is to stack base hits. 9%, 10%, 11%, just keep stacking, turning money, base until you shorten the time frame where the base hit is not a month and a half, the base hit is a week, and then the base hit is 2 days. Think about money again. You're like, I see what he's saying. My goal is to make the base hits the same day, is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to find the ultimate place where I can get 10% that day is what the goal is. Not in a month, not in a week. I want my money right now. And so you're trying to find the stocks. They're going to give you the base hit, ideally 1 to 3 days. If you can do that, man, you're going to make money like there's nobody's business. And I'm going to get back to that flow. Let's find one other example. Let me see here. Was there any news on ABVE? I don't even know. I just happened to see it late, and I just wanted to send you guys out a message late. So I apologize if you were in the midst of something and you saw this text message come across. Was there any news? Oh yeah. After path for Palm Globe deal becomes clearer. Yeah, global deal. That's just fluff news, but I have to read it and see what it says. Um, Make sure you read between the lines. We've been waiting on that news for forever. It took for forever. The stock has been a moneymaker if you just buy the breakout. If we look at um, ABVE, the only thing you need to do is have it on your radar with an alert. Resistance was right in here. This line here was 183. If you say if this stock trades at above 183 times 105%, 192 with GV, I will buy it. Your alert goes off yesterday. Stock opens at 184. Right here hits 193 roughly. Stock runs to 250. If you bought the 193 because you managed your money right, you had an alert in 193 minus, if you were able to sell at the top 250, we'll just call it you weren't, but you got 50% divided by the 193, 50 cents. You made like 25, 26% on your money yesterday because you
Mhm.
got an alert. You did your homework. You put in your alerts when you were supposed to, when you knew that this was the channel. It was in a channel, been in the channel for days. You're like, I hate this stock, but if it breaks through 193, I'll buy it. News hit. What time was that news? Let's take a peek. See how quickly, see how quickly we got to the 193. Well, the news thing's not coming up for whatever reason. But if we look at the lower time frame, oh, there we go. 193. News came out at that was midday, 12:49, 1 o'clock. So we should see no real movement until 1 o'clock. If I look at an hourly, this is, oh no, somebody knew something pre-market. So yeah, someone knew something, right? So pre-market, here's still your, if you lean into the smaller time frame, you would also see, will have seen that this was your downtrend right here going back to the 4th of January, which is not a long ways away. But pre-market, this was the 8 o'clock hour. And so you're like, somebody knows something. This stock is going up and volume is coming in. And then you played the pre-market. You're like, I don't know what's going on, but it broke through this downtrend, this downtrend right here. Something's coming, and you went ahead and bought the 180 something. And if you did that, you pushed $3 by 8 o'clock that night by close of business.
Mhm.
So, and if you can, again, and this is the last one I'll say, I'll get off of it. If you can lean into the homework, I'll say it a million times. The money is in the homework. If you just do some homework by looking at names, clicking on alerts, drawing some lines, taking a moment, the money is in the homework. How the hell do you guys think I always give you good names just about every time? Because I'll sit here and just do the homework. I'll be like, hey, you guys, you might consider doing this. You might consider doing that, and just know, like, if it's a crap name like COCH, and I thought we might get a breakout, that was more of an emotional thing. Oh, I might be getting this breakout, but of course I sold it the same day because I was like, we're not breaking out. Um, but the
Yeah.
money is in the homework. If you were looking pre-market and you have your stuff pulled up, personal, after hours, pre-market gainers. And this list would be right here. And to say this is pre-market and I see ABVE and I'm like, huh, it's up in pre-market. It's a little bit. And you're looking at volume. You're like, volume is really high. And you look over here, you're like, there's no news. Oh, something's coming. And you quickly do your technical stuff. You're like, oh, breakout's right in here. If we keep going up, I'm gonna buy it. So let's take a look at the smaller time frame, 30 minutes. So 30 minutes, this was, somebody knew something back, right? Here's 8 o'clock. So the totality of the hour, yeah, it was starting to go. This is 9 o'clock, 185. Still really not telling you anything. This is 9:30. Now you're starting to feel the full weight of something is coming. So if you quickly jumped aboard because your alerts were going off and say you got in late at 195, it doesn't even matter. By the time this thing got to, again, 8 o'clock at night after hours, hell, you'd have made 50% on your money, even if you were late to the party by 10 cents, you know. The money's in the homework, guys. Questions before we go?
No,
Yeah. Where are you in RVMD?
No. Which is that one you were in, or which one is that
N-
one?
No, you mentioned it
Was that
somewhere.
Tony? Was that your stock, RVMD?
it might have been.
Which one is that one? Is that the one you got your face kicked in on that one? Which one is that one?
Now
Uh-huh.
it's up almost 21% just today. It's been flying.
Uh, Tony, I feel like we talked about this. No, Doug, we talked about this. It's the medical thing because Doug's in
Yeah, I
works for the
see
hospital
medical.
medical.
Yeah.
Doug,
Yeah.
we talked about this thing. Do you still own it, Doug? Or did you buy it, or what did we?
No, I never bought it. I this was
It's up
before the first of the
20%.
year.
Okay, so Doug, we talked about this one.
Yeah.
So you
This
just didn't.
was
Yeah, you
last
didn't.
month. I
Yeah.
didn't have the money to do anything with it,
Oh,
but it
no
was on my
worries.
list.
Nice game. And clearly you would have bought it where? 81 is resistance right there. 105%. You're buying it at 85. So this week was breakout. If we look at the daily, 80, we gapped right here 2 days ago, which here was your, again, your resistance area right here.
Hmm.
We gapped. Volume was cut. Hell, we gapped right here. They're trying to tell you something that even the day before then. Volume started to come in a little bit more right here. Somebody knew something right here. See this volume spike?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like, you're not fooling me. Something's coming. Like, why is the volume up? 3 million, 3.2 million here, 1.3, less than a million, 1.2. Somebody knows something's coming, possibly right here. Did technical anything tip us off? No, not really. Right here, histograms following along. Volume, a decent volume day again, 2.2. So 85 was our buy point. 85 happened right about there. You bought the breakout. If we look at a hourly chart, 85 is your number. 85, looking at an hourly chart, is about right there. So that was at 2 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, AB, okay, near a deal. So what's the deal? Near deal 4. Oh, they're buying RVMD.
Oh, they're buying it. So
Yeah.
it's a buyout.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So AbbVie, near deal 4, Revolution Medicines. They're buying it. So now they said this morning they deny that they're in talks to buy. Both stocks were apparently falling first thing in the morning, but apparently nobody bought that nonsense because the stock kept going up. This is
Hmm.
at 7:30 in the morning. Oh, we're not in talks. Well, somebody's in talks with something because the stock keeps climbing higher. So I don't know that anyone bought whatever they're saying. Denies that it's in talks. Both stocks are falling. That's in the morning. Well, you're saying both stocks are falling at 10 o'clock. Well, that might have been for 2 seconds. I want to see 10 o'clock. That was this morning, 10 o'clock, 4 a.m., 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 o'clock is right there. Both stocks are really not falling. They're barely even going down. They're going sideways, at least RVMD. So 85, you bought the 85, runs to 100, you make good money. We come back down on at 4 o'clock, closing the business the on the 7th. I wonder, was there news late? Draw talks take over. So who knows? This to me represents folks collecting shares. They say they were in talks. They ran it up. You made good money. They took it all the way back down to flush people out. They
Hmm.
collected shares probably. Then they took it back up. Then they're denying they're in talks, probably hoping to buy more shares. And then we went sideways because then no one's buying it. They're like, we're not buying your lies. You are in talks. Then we went sideways, and then your next buy point was we're at 100, roughly 99, so about 104. I'm buying $104 above resistance, 5% above resistance, so it's about right there, which also is a little dicey because it represented a bit of a double top, right? At 104-ish, right in here. We topped out here. They suckered you down. They collected your shares. We went sideways. Now, next breakout point was 104, which coincided with this area. If you bought the 104, it ran to 132. It's $28 into the 104. You made 27% on your money within 2 more hours. I do love trading. It's,
Mm.
it's all about just buying the breakout. If you did nothing else but say, I'm only buying stuff 5% above the breakout with good volume, I don't even pay attention to anything else. I try to buy direct moves. If it's not giving me the money, I'm not trying to marry the stupid stock. I just want the money. So I'm only looking for 5% above resistance with good volume, with some sort of sensible story. If you can't give that to me, I don't need you. I will find a stock that is going to give that to me. And that's all you have to do. All you have to do. QBTS, last one. You like Brown, you always say it's the last one. QBTS. Told you guys the other day, I'm like, you guys may need to look to buy it. What
I'm
day
in it.
was that? I know I
Uh,
mentioned it January the 3rd over the weekend. So if we look at least over that weekend, where's January the 3rd? That's the second. Weekend's 20, the weekend of Jan. Okay, that's in here. Quite sure I mentioned it, I'm sure before then. But
Before
if
that,
I
because
thought it was, huh?
I think the Friday before, because I bought it on Monday.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, it was probably right. Is this Friday? I think this is Friday here. I was like, you guys should really look to buy it. It's going to make the turn. And then it made the turn. So if you bought anywhere in there at 25, 26, then you run days later to, if you sell it at 30, 31, even if you sold at 30, say you bought it at 26, 5 divided by 26, still 19% on your money in 6 days. And that's what you want because 19%, 15%, 12%. Hey, Tony,
Yep.
do you
Can you
like
hear me?
19? I'm gonna mess with Tony. I won't get, Tony got punched in the face, Doug. He
Uh-oh.
got greedy. So Tony,
Y-
19%, brother. If you're up
Yep.
40%, take the damn money. If you're up
Yes.
19%, consider taking the money. And
Yeah.
why would you take the money up here, Doug? Because it's a top right there. Top, down. Guys, buy it. Top, sell it. Right, it's at the top. Sell it. It's up against resistance on the daily. What's it look like on the weekly? 32 on the daily, weekly. You also could see weekly breakout was also right in here around 27. I was telling you around 26 or 25 and some change. So top right there. But this close is higher than all these closes. So the train may be possibly leaving the station, but I don't see the volume yet. We only have one day. And what is this, Doug? It's a bit of
Near
a,
near Doji
yeah,
or
it's a bit of a, it was way up here and we're down here.
down
Well, we
there?
closed, we're here on the corner. So it's a bit like, I'm not quite sure they're really convicted. But we have this gentle uptrend right here, resistance right here. This was excuse my language, pee or get off the pot moment. This was support. This was resistance going across. You're running out of space. You're either going to break the uptrend and go down, or you need to get through the overhead resistance. Pee or get off the pot. So the direct move was like 20. When I saw it within the minutia, 25 and some change, 26, buy it. 32 the last time we were up there is a sell. Take the 20%, get out. And then, but if this thing this week, tomorrow somehow spins on down, because this is the candle we're in, spins on down to about mid low 26s, it becomes a buy again.
Mhm.
So this was a direct move, pee or get off the pot sort of moment, right in there. And you got to see that, especially the way the candle I had it shown before, like where you could see it clearer. You can't see it as clear when I spread it out. Um, so questions. Oh, you can see it better when I do it like this. And then this was more like so. Top. Try to go through it. this was Peapot moment. You're either going to go down because only one candle fits here, or you need to go up, gapped up, but pulled back. So if we get a last call for alcohol retouch next week right in here where support is, maybe low 27s, it's probably time to buy it again. Now, Doug, if you get a pop tomorrow, are you still in it, QBTS?
I am.
Now, if you get a pop tomorrow, unless this stock closes incredibly strong with good volume towards the top, pushing this 32,
Mhm.
you might want to take the money. If we're like 31 and it looks a little, then start to lean into the smaller time frames. Look at the hourly, because now when you look at the hourly, look what you see. You're like, oh, I see it. Look at that.
Yeah.
Top, down, up, hit your head, down. Where is support? It's probably right about in here. See this? Well, we've got something to hang our hat on this area in here. This is an hourly chart. And then we broke through it. You see, this is a clear, verifiable breakout. So this, yeah, this was our resistance. Bit of support area, waffling, support. So if you break down to maybe, yep, 27.30-ish, then if you like the stock, you need to look to rebuy it, or to buy more of it. But if we look at this within the hourly, support, extend the line, guess where it stopped? Support. So tomorrow, the first few hours, if we spin on down to high 28s, don't panic. But we really need to get through this 31 plus range. If you get through 31 plus tomorrow, if you bought it in the 26s or whatever, look, I need to lock in my money because your goal is to build the account. If we start to go through this 32 and some change, alert me if this stock trades at or above. Oh, 32, we'll call it 32 in general, 105%, 33.60. Let's go 33.27. And then you'll probably end up getting a text from me, depending on what I'm doing. If I have my phone in front of me, I'll be like, you guys, QBTS is breaking out. Just punched 33.60 with GV, good volume. So just be mindful, where would we run to, Doug? The bottom of this area from the top to the bottom is about 7 points. Distance. Kim finally saw this. I've been saying this a million times. Distance. Yes, Kim, I told you a million times. Distance. So the next target, the 7 points that are in here, target's probably about 39. So now if you say that, because trust me, this is how this works. 7 points here. When it breaks out and truly confirms a breakout and goes, 7 points probably your upside. But then we want to look at the bigger time frame. So 39 is my marker. Well, 39 puts us around about here. We also have some resistance right in here, these two. Oh, I might run into some headwinds around here because people who bought all in here, they may just want to get out. So in here is resistance. Remember, look here, this was support. Winner, chicken dinner, pretty much going across, right?
Yep.
Right? So then I look at pretty much again, 32 down to the bottom, a little bit lower in here though. Call it 21, that's 11 points. So 11 up from the 32 puts us at 43. So you might get somewhere between 39 and 43 before you might start to stall out. And we know right up in here, our highest close was roughly 45. So there's kind of my top side resistance, next side resistance. Got a bit of a cup and handle going, like a cup of coffee right here. Here's where you would put your finger, but it looped again, double finger. So real positive, higher lows, breakouts right in here. Targets probably 39 to 43. Once we hit 33.60-ish with good volume, you should know that you should be able to grab 20 to 35% on your money once this thing hits 33.60 with good volume. So now you have to decide, Doug, I own it at 26. Am I willing to wait till 32 or the breakout at 33.60-ish? And if so, say it starts to go 33.60, you might say, we really don't have good volume, and I don't know what the hell's coming for Monday. Say this happens tomorrow for
Hmm.
some strange reason. I might put a tight stop to protect the gain. If it pulls back to whatever, mid 31s, it'll automatically sell, and I'm not gonna worry. I made some money. Then you put an alert, you remark it at the 33 and some change. All of a sudden, Monday comes and the stock hits 33 and some change, and volume looks like it's through the roof, and there's some news. It's time to buy it. And I know that my upside is probably 39 to 43, and I'm going to make another 25% of my money. You don't worry about the money you could have made by holding it at 26. Your goal is to make the money. If all the stuff's in a tax sheltered account, you worry less about it. Your goal is to get good at base hits. Find the right trade setup, get the daggone money, get to the next one. But be sure, like a cat, a boy cat, pee on the side of the fire hydrant to mark your territory so that you remember to come back to it, because you don't want to look up and you're like, oh my gosh, the stock's at 40. I never remarked it. Right? You've got to be good at the process. And this is the last thing I'm going to say. Really, it is. The goal is to get good at the process of making money. Have a systematic way that you identify stocks, that you mark your territory, if you will, that you look at technical indicators, that you have an idea of what you think the stock should do. You understand enough fundamentally about it, and you're like, and you understand what your goals are for the stock in case you really needed to move some money from here because you really wanted this other stock here and you really kind of wanted to get out of QBTS. I'm going to go ahead and take the 19% when it hits whatever. And then I'm going to move this money here. Oh, but if it goes to 33, 60, 34, hell, I'm going to bring some money back over here. That's what you want. You just want to make money. All right.
Mhm.
Any questions before we go?
No.
No, sir.
We get some value, hopefully.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Good,
Yes.
good. Tony, anything? I know I was long-winded, but I just try to give
No,
you
I
guys the good
no, I
bang
got
for
a
the buck.
lot today.
Okay. Doug, I think I have your portfolio already here. I think you sent me some changes. Tony, if you own something, say greater, just whatever you own, send it
Yeah.
to me so that I
Okay.
can put it in an alert system, and I'll try to update it maybe once a week. At the end of the week, if you guys think about it and you say, Eugene, here's where I own. Obviously, it's not my job to keep up with your stocks. I'm just trying to
Right.
teach you how to make money with what you're doing. Do
Yeah.
not daggone it, Tony. I'm going to throw Tony in the bus. Tony had made a bunch of money and then gave a bunch of it up because he was too aggressive and he didn't have the system in place to get the hell out of it, Doug.
Yeah.
And Tony will tell you
Mental.
this. He was caught in traffic. It was a disaster. But we've got to stack wins, Tony, because I think you're good
Yeah.
at what you do and you're learning. Spread the money out. If I have 25 grand, I want you ideally in 4 to 5 stocks.
Right.
Don't buy them
Right.
all at one time. And Doug, don't spend $100 on a stock. $500 minimum every
Yes.
time you buy something.
Yes.
And it forces you to be good. And then get rid of old stuff. As soon as you can get rid of stuff, if it's an acceptable loss and you lose whatever, $200, but you free up 1,000, believe me, you can make that $200 back. You just got to start to free up money, and then you get this pile of money. Now I'm going to be really good with this money. I got this. And you start to
Yep.
move forward.
Yep.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
guys, I'm
All
going to
right. Have a
post
good one.
this and we'll catch up. What's today? Today's Thursday. I'm going to
Yep.
try to give you something over the weekend for you to review for Monday. I'll try to get that to you Sunday, no later than like 1 o'clock or something, and try to get you maybe 8 or 9 names for your review for the next week.
All right.
Outstanding.
All right, guys. I'll see you soon.
All
Call me
right.
if you need me.
Thanks.
All
Bye.
right.
All right,
Bye.
bye.